Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Bitcoin Hour. I am Dave Bradley. I'm, of course, the strongest and best looking Bitcoin entrepreneur in Canada. You can find out more about that if you're interested on my website at bitcoinbrains.com. Today, I'm going to be just sharing a short story that I think is pretty relevant given where we're at with the price of Bitcoin right now. So you all, if you've been Bitcoiners for any significant amount of time, are probably starting to notice that every acquaintance that you've ever talked to about Bitcoin is coming out of the woodwork. You get these absurd conversations where somebody who you've told to get into Bitcoin for 6 years is suddenly like interested, and now instead they bought Dogecoin. So we've got this interesting spot in the hype cycle where we're getting a lot more attention than we normally do. And that brings up this question that comes up a lot from acquaintances and, the family, friends, and anybody who's not really paid serious attention to Bitcoin or its price or the Bitcoin industry or community over the years. And that is this question of, like, am I too late? And when people ask me that, I usually tell them the same story. And this is interesting, going back really to right when I first got into Bitcoin. And I'm kind of guessing on the numbers here, but Bitcoin had recently, at this point, shot up from around $1 to, I want to say, something like $14 US. And so a massive price increase, many more times over than what we're currently experiencing. And at the time, I had just started mining Bitcoin, and I was mining Bitcoin with some GPUs in my basement, and then I was selling some of the Bitcoin that I mined to people that I met on local Bitcoins in order to buy more GPUs. And so I was meeting up with this guy and selling him a little bit of Bitcoin. And like I said, the price had just hit $14. And the guy said to me, oh, I can't believe I missed it, right? And now, thinking somebody who got to buy Bitcoin at $14, that sounds completely stupid to consider that they missed it, obviously, right? And then, my answer was like, I didn't really know. Like, and I still don't know. I don't know what is going to happen with the price. I didn't know then, and I don't know now. But I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't think you missed it. I can't really be sure. I certainly don't feel like you've missed it. And but we'll see. And then, not too long after that, the price crashed, as it always does. It goes up, it goes down. And I think the price had gone down to something like $3. So like triple what it had originally come from, but still a drastic decrease from the massive heights of $14 that it had run up to. And similar situation, I was meeting with somebody who was buying some Bitcoin from me, and they had basically exactly the opposite opinion. They were like, I can't believe this thing is dead. And my answer was kind of the same. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't have any reason to believe that this thing is dead. Right. And in retrospect, it turns out that neither of those people were right at all, right? Bitcoin had not been missed at $14, and Bitcoin was not dead at $3. And I've had those same conversations over and over and over again with different people at different price points. And the answer is kind of always the same, right? I was having literally this exact conversation, recounting this story about the $14 price run when Bitcoin was $3,000. And at the time, $3,000 seemed like such an absolutely massively high number that it was hard for those people to consider that they hadn't missed it at all, right? And I think we're seeing a lot of that, especially from the casuals who are only following along with a cursory eye, that they feel like they've missed Bitcoin. And there was certainly more opportunity to get into Bitcoin at $14 or at $3,000. The upside was much greater at that point, but so was the risk. And I think what we can confidently say at this point, based on where we think Bitcoin is going in terms of what we think it'll do as a form of money, in terms of displacing the fiat currencies of the world, and also what we've seen in the past, we can pretty reasonably say that at this price we're sitting at $99,000, lingering just under 100,000 US. I don't think it's reasonable to say at all that you've missed Bitcoin, and we will probably get a crash at some point. I don't know if it'll crash from this price to a lower price, or maybe it'll go to a much higher price before crashing to a price that is still higher than we are now. I have no idea where the price will go, but I can say with a high level of confidence that it will continue to be very volatile when priced in dollars, partly because they're not going to stop printing those dollars. So ultimately, you can probably paraphrase this into a much shorter story, but you may have versions of this yourself. And I think that's a good answer to those who feel like they may have missed it. Is the fact is that many people have felt like they may have missed it over the years. And a lot of those people have avoided getting into Bitcoin at what would have been much more advantageous prices because they felt like they had already missed it. Right. So if you think you missed it now, you're going to have missed it much more spectacularly 5 years from now. So if somebody believes in the principles that make Bitcoin valuable, and they think that the scarcity and the hard money aspect of Bitcoin is what's driven it up to $100,000 US, then that logic will persist at $150,000 US or $1 million US or really any other price, so long as the money printing continues. And so the short answer is no, you did not miss it. And when Bitcoin crashes, inevitably, wherever it crashes from and wherever it crashes to, that will not mean that it's dead. That's just the market figuring out, where this asset sits as a form of money amongst all of the others. So we're just coming up just about 7 minutes into this video. And unfortunately, the time thieves at the government have taken the remaining 53 minutes, just like they take everything else. And so that is all the time we have for today, and that's all you get.